Hello there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. Today, I am joined by a good friend of mine who I met more recently, actually, through our sort of mutual friend, Paula, Amy Branford. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Thomas. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I've been looking forward to this. I know we've been trying to get it in the diary, and I've been a nightmare, so apologies for that. I'm really glad that we've ended up doing this now. Um, Amy, you're a senior guest intelligence and growth specialist at GuestRevu. We've never had a guest review on the show before. We've had other guest review platforms, so it'd be great to know a bit more about you first off, because you've never been on the channel, and then we'll dive into the actual product and so on and so forth. How does that sound?
That sounds absolutely perfect.
All right,
So,
cool. So
I'm
what I'm going to
Amy.
do, no, I was going to
Okay.
say, Amy, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say to everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe before we get into it, and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, because I know there's going to be loads of content in this episode that I think you're going to want to hear, especially if you're in that hotelier space. So, Amy, without further ado, what I'd love to know a bit more first off is a bit more about you, your background, and what brought you to the role that you're in now with Guest Review.
Okay, so it's quite a long story, really, because I've been a guest review for a decade this year.
Okay.
So I have to dye my hair because I am
Congratulations.
very grey.
Not because of
So
stress, I'm sure.
no, no. Well, maybe sometimes. I am in sales. It's not the easiest department to be
Yep.
in, but I
Fair.
certainly wouldn't want to be in a dev team, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I actually really fell into guest review 10 years
Okay.
ago. I used to be a waitress in the evenings. I worked for a family egg farm, and
Wow.
I used to serve my CEO, Chris Alexander. And he said one day I was going to work for him. And then, long story short, I ended up in their sales team. So that was 10 years ago. I started off as sales assistant because I
Wow.
never worked in an office, believe it or not. I used to break polo ponies and
Ah,
produce polo
okay.
ponies worldwide. So
Right.
yeah, like a farm girl from Surrey.
Through and through.
Now,
Through and through.
yeah, so life takes you in different directions, right? But once you're in hospitality, it's something that you never want to leave. So
Yeah.
from waitressing to now being on the tech side is just amazing. I just felt in love with helping hoteliers understand their guest experience.
Yeah.
That's what really kind of got me driving and wanting to, sell and talk them through. I think there's a lot of salespeople that say a lot of things. I wanted
Hmm.
to bring honesty into the industry. If guest reviews are a great fit, I'm going to tell you that. If it's not, I'm going to tell you that too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
typically, people tend to get that blunt answers from me, which I think saves people time and it means that they
Yeah.
get the product that they want, right?
Refreshing in sales as well, because I think sort of a lot of salespeople can really sort of go around the houses just to keep somebody on the phone. But again, if it's not right, it's not right. It's in, this is that.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't want an unhappy client from the start, right? You want
No.
somebody
Yeah.
that's going to enjoy and make use of the system and the data that's there.
Yeah.
Guest experience is so important, especially in the AI world and where we're going, that,
Hmm.
it's not about, how much data you have. It's what you do with the data, right? You can have all the data in the world and do nothing with it.
Yep.
And then you wonder why your
Absolutely.
competitors are beating you, right?
Yep, absolutely. This is something that's come up quite a bit on this channel, actually, is you can have, and I've always put this down into revenue management terms, but you could have the best strategy in the world, but if you can't communicate it effectively, it's never going to get off the ground. And I suppose that's a really similar case with the data as well. You can have all the data in the world, but if it's not being used effectively, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be able to give the data to the right people in the team.
Yeah,
So, if you're a small independent, it's easy. There's a couple of people, but as you start to grow in size and groups and that experience, that data needs to get to more people,
yeah,
so the housekeeping team need to understand what are their cleanliness scores? How
sure.
can they improve? What did they miss? Where is that guest experience not quite lining up with guest expectations? What
Hmm.
can they improve? Every hotel can improve. And using that data is the easiest way to do it instead of just doing it on, oh, we saw a TripAdvisor review and the guest said this. How many guests have said that over the last 6 months before
Yeah.
it got to TripAdvisor? So it's really guest intelligent focused, which
Right.
is, really important. It's not just another system that just gives you more data. It makes it actionable. And that's what's
Sure.
really important to guest review.
No, and I suppose in terms of guest review itself as a platform. So say, okay, let's just put it like this. So say there's potential clients out there, hoteliers out there that haven't come across you guys, don't know about what you guys do from start to finish. What First off, what does the platform provide its clients? But two, can you take us through sort of what that journey looks like from talking to someone like yourself to getting it onboarded? What does that process look like?
Okay, so guest review is a guest intelligence tool. We
Yes.
stick
Yeah. Yeah.
with guest feedback and online reputation management.
Yep.
So we don't veer off into different spheres. We stay best in breed, and that's why we've won 7 years in a row on Hotel Tech Report. So
Amazing.
what we
Congratulations again. That's awesome.
Thank you. What we're able to do is we're able to give you the option to have those customized surveys. So
Yeah.
you can really ask the questions that you want to know. Like if you're doing a renovation or something like that, and you want to see the impact that it's having on that guest experience score to
Hmm.
see, was this a good decision? Did we get return on investment? Then you can adapt those surveys to ask the right questions. It keeps you
Sure.
relevant in the market, right?
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
pull in all the online reviews from over 50 different sources. And we've got in-app responses to bookings.com, Google, Expedia, and you can respond to all the others as well with the
Hmm.
help of AI. So AI management responses. And it's really important. One thing I'm really passionate about is giving you the tools to make things quicker.
Yeah.
So, for example, our AI management response tool saves 4 minutes per review,
Right.
and it still gives you that onus on, it's my job to go and click that final button to send it out there. There are tools that auto post for you, but guys,
Hmm.
please just be careful with that. Your online reputation is so important that
Yeah.
in my view, you need to control what's going on, because your online reputation is impacting who's booking you, who's
Hmm.
seeing you, who's recommending you through AI searches. What is going on in that space. You need to be really proactive with it and that
Hmm.
data. So, sorry, I kind of get
No, no,
long-winded.
that was really interesting. And it was that, strangely enough, it correlated with something I saw on LinkedIn I think it was yesterday. No, no, it wasn't. It was last week. And it was about something to do with Yotel. Somebody had tried to get into an airport Yotel, and the caption was basically that they'd basically AI'd themselves into oblivion with regards to their guest experience side, because they were trying to basically get into this airport hotel, but they couldn't get access because they couldn't check in, and the check-in desks are then closed. So all it did was kept going round and round and round from an AI perspective. And of course, that person's review was awful because they were just
Wild.
like, I was stuck in this like just perpetual, merry-go-round, and it keep telling me the same thing. So it's strange because although I still believe AI is such a massive positive, don't get me wrong, but I do think that before we know it, if we're so reliant on automation and artificial intelligence, we are going to AI ourselves into oblivion. It just is what it is. And I think that having people being able to be involved in that process and really vetting what they're seeing is going to mean a lot more to people when they're leaving reviews than just to be churned through by some system, surely, right?
Well, let's look at hospitality. I mean,
Mm.
hospitality and going to hotels has been around for centuries, right? Coaching
Yep.
inns back in the day, you know, and it's hospitality is people.
Yes.
You
Yep.
you people first. It is always going to be a people first industry.
Yeah.
So it's about putting AI in the right places. It's really cool. The new trend is AI in hospitality.
Sure.
It's so exciting to see hoteliers looking at how AI can help them. But I think sometimes they go a little bit far and they just throw AI everywhere.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
that guest experience gets lost, because are you saving time? Or are you making guests unhappy? And how is that impacting your guest experience? Is
Yes.
that your hotel guest going to rebook again? I didn't read the review or see the LinkedIn posts, so I don't know only from what you said, but
Yeah.
word of mouth scores are really important. So it's about using technology in the right places for your property. What do
Mm,
you want to get from AI? Where does it need to do that heavy lifting? Does it
yeah.
need to do heavy lifting with data so it can crunch that so you can see those trends really, really quickly? Or does it need to help you because you've got nobody on at certain times and you've got international travelers that jump on your
Sure.
website? So think about the guest journey, map that out, and see where AI can make it stronger. Don't necessarily replace humans with robots, in my
No.
mind.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And again, coming back to that original question, so from that guest journey perspective with you guys, so say they, after this episode, they click on a link and they want to have a chat with somebody. Let's say it was someone like you, where you'd be talking to someone about, prospectively taking this up. What does that journey look like? How do you guys sort of take them on board? How do you integrate them? How does that all look?
Okay, so it's really simple.
Yeah.
We typically connect with the PMS.
Yep.
So this
Sure.
automates the process. So depending on the PMS that you're using, you can do pre-stay, in-stay, post-stay. It depends. What does your guest journey look like? Where do you want that data points collected from? What
Hmm.
bits do you need to understand at which point in the guest journey? So we can set that up. It's relatively quick. Typically, it takes about 2 weeks for some of the longer PMSs to set up. In
Okay.
that time, we're designing your survey. You do have the option to have ultra customized where it's really brand specific.
Yeah.
I always highly recommend this because we did some research across our client base. Back in December, it was published. So you can check out www.guestrevu.com and check out that blog. It shows actually that having an ultra customized survey increases that response rate by 3%. So
Okay.
definitely worth spending a little bit of time making sure that that custom survey is really on point.
Yeah.
And we pull in the online reviews within 24 to 48 hours. So typically with 1 to 2 weeks, you're up and running. And it doesn't matter whether you're an independent property or a group, that time frame still stands. Obviously if you've got 100 properties, it might take a little bit longer, but we'll
Sure.
guide you through that process. We provide training, we will help you design the surveys, and we'll give you our experience in the industry for the past 12 years plus, and help you really kind of understand what do you want to get, how do you want to get that, what reporting do you need, and how to read that data.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And
very quick.
I was going to say, it does sound a lot more straightforward than I think I was anticipating. I thought it would be a bit more complicated, but it sounds actually, as you said, really quite simple. It's just about, like any tech solution, I suppose, it's about understanding what that client is looking to get from your product. As long as you can understand that and ascertain that, you know where to sort of roadmap from there, I guess. And how close a relationship do you guys build with the clients themselves? So once they've taken it on board, what's that sort of ongoing relationship like? Are you guys pretty sort of on board with them, or is it a case of them just coming to you as and when they have issues? How does that work?
So it's really important for us that we develop that relationship with our clients.
Yeah,
So a lot of the clients that I've sold to have become firm friends. Shout
great.
out to Daniel
That
at
does not
Thurlestone.
surprise me with you, Amy. It really doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll know like LV has worked with me for many years at different
Big shout out
properties.
to LV.
And yeah, WhatsApp is our friends. So yeah, like we get to know each other really well. But most importantly, you get a dedicated account manager with Guest Review. So,
Sure.
should you need that help or that assistance or that, advice, we're there to help you. And that dedicated account manager gets to understand your brand. A
Yeah.
lot of our a lot of our staff are like me, they're over, 5 years in at Guest Review. So our staff turnover is really, really low. So
That's
it
good.
means that, you keep that account manager for a long, long time and they get to
Yeah.
understand that brand and they help you. And we've got help articles, we've got live chats, we've got phone numbers and emails. So you can always get hold of us. I always recommend that hotels should be checking those surveys at least every 6 months, if not
Right.
yearly, to make sure that they're really relevant. The industry's changing so fast. Make
Yeah.
sure that your survey doesn't stay static, because
Yeah.
then that data becomes old, and what's relevant to you 6 months ago may not be relevant to you now.
Yeah. No, great bit of advice there, I think. In terms of you guys then, so what makes Guest Review different from the other platforms that are out there right now? Because again, we do have a lot of options out there across the tech solution space. So what is it that Guest Review, or how are Guest Review different from those competitors?
Yeah, so one, typically they get stuck with me for life. So
Love it.
but I think what really makes us different is that we're really focused on guest experience and giving you
Yeah,
actionable data to take action on the feedback that you're getting in, and understanding those trends. Obviously we have unique selling points against our competitors,
sure.
but a lot of it is about giving you a user-friendly system that gives you the data really, really quickly.
Yeah,
We have AI in our system from reporting, so identifying trends really quickly and all of those sorts of things is really easy. Group level reporting. Sometimes I think that groups don't do enough with that guest experience data to actually understand where it is. I speak to a lot of groups that are just like, we look at it once a week. And I'm like, guys, you're missing so many trends. Like, you could be helping your bottom ranked hotel a lot quicker,
yeah,
and make it really actionable so your brand standards are increasing all the time.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think guest experience is really, really going to explode. It's getting more. We've seen it increasing,
yeah,
over the last 5 years. But now with AI search coming in, the booking journey is changing, right? They're not going,
yes,
hey, I'm going to London. What's bookings.com got in the London
yeah,
region? They're going to whatever chat they're using AI and saying, I'm staying with my family. I want a spa. I want to be
yeah,
close to a rich Michelin restaurant in Charing Cross. And those reviews are going to impact, who AI suggests. So
yes,
if your listeners are not responding to your online reviews and driving them proactively, just watch, because your competitors are going to start taking over a lot
yeah,
quicker, and they're going to be getting a lot more bookings. So be proactive. Don't just, sit back and wait for that review to come in. Chase your
no,
guests for reviews and drive your online reputation.
absolutely.
I don't know if
This
I
is
answered the question.
no, no, you did. You obviously said there was certain USPs, but I think we focus more on sort of what your opinion is in terms of what you believe Guest Review does differently to others. And I think again that sort of great bit of advice is don't wait around for your competitors to jump on this first. Don't be that sort of um, I want to say, well, rather than saying that, let's be more proactive. Let's be more sort of attuned to what we're doing from a guest review perspective. Because, as you said, guest experience is becoming one of the number one conversation points right now. Obviously, I have a catch up, and I know sort of you guys know Danica as well, but I have a catch up with Danica every quarter now, looking at the key trends in the market in terms of guest experience and what they're looking for. And at the start of this year, she said the exact same thing: is the booking journey is nowhere. It's almost unrecognizable from where it was just
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. And with the advancements and developments of AI and other tools available to people these days, booking.com is not the number one place where people go. They do take the social media, they do look online, and they do get inspired, and then from that inspiration, that's when they take to these chat GPTs and so on, where they want to find out. I suppose they ask the open question like anyone would. As you say, I'm going with my family to a certain location. I want this, I want that, and I want the other. Give me some recommendations. And before you know it, they've got them right there in their hands. So things are
Yeah.
changing. And that guest experience subject is everywhere right now. Like you can't go onto LinkedIn without guest experience being flashed at you. And I'm all here for it, to be totally honest with you. I'm here for it.
I try not to flash people anymore. I'm a bit old.
I still try.
Yeah, but it's absolutely everywhere. AI is the top conversation. And I think it's very easy for hoteliers today to get blindsided by new shiny tools,
Yes,
that do all the
completely.
AI stuff and the automation. And, that's great. but don't miss out on those insights. Make sure that your feedback is actionable so you can understand your guest experience. Like, where are you doing really well? Where are you not doing so well?
Yeah.
That new receptionist that you just employed, how is she impacting your guest journey? We have functionality like milestones, which can help you understand that return on investment when you change a mattress in a room and things like
Mm.
that. So, it's really about understanding guest experience, taking that knowledge and making your hotel more successful. And it doesn't matter if you're, a lower budget hotel or whether you're a 5-star. Guests have expectations based on what you put out there, whether it's
Yeah.
your marketing material, whether it's your reviews. 68% of guests book a hotel based on if they respond to their reviews versus one that doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
Doesn't surprise me.
it,
Yeah.
it's hugely important. I think it's
Yeah.
more important to today than it was 2 years ago. I think the whole journey's changed more in the last 18 months than the last decade that I've been here.
Wow.
I remember educating people on why they needed feedback. And I think they all understand that they need feedback and they need
Sure.
reviews. They just don't know what to do with that data or how to utilize it efficiently.
Yeah.
Does that data need to go back to, my CRM so I can customize my messaging out and my marketing information? So integrations have become an integral part
Yeah.
of, the guest experience as well. Like, do you have one system that does everything? Or
Yeah.
do you go with best in breeds? Hoteliers are going with best in breeds now, in my
Right.
opinion. They're
Uh,
plugging different things in.
yeah, I was going to say they're being a lot more selective. And again, all power to them because there is such a sort of plethora of options out there that I think it is about being really sort of conscious about the route that you're going down. And as you say, if that best in breed is the key option, then power to them. Um, from your perspective, what exciting development? Because you just said over the last 18 months, there's been so much development, more so over the last, than the last 10 years. So what key or exciting developments or trends are you seeing within the guest review space? And why are they interesting to you, I suppose?
Okay, so there's quite a few. Like, so I'm
Yeah.
going to pick one or two.
Yeah, go for
So
it. Go for it.
we know I can talk for a long. So one of my favorite parts, we know my favorite part is AI. I was really like, so I'm dyslexic, a little bit of information about me.
Sure.
So I used to get my emails sent back to me with speller and grammar from my first head of sales.
Right.
And it used to frustrate me. So I saw AI coming out and I'm thinking, like, where were you 10 years ago? I'm not going to use you to
Mhm.
write my emails or my content. Like, I can do that. I've got my voice.
Yeah.
But I think, when it comes to data, AI can crunch that data so I can see, how is this impacting my hotel?
Hmm.
Is it impacting my NPS in a positive way? So more people are recommending me and that sort of thing. So we've just released group AI reporting. And I think that this is absolutely mind blowing. Not only are you now comparing numbers, but you're actually seeing those insights per property. What is the weakness at this property? What is the strength at this property? So at group level, your ops team can understand the differences between your properties and take the best bits from the good performing properties and make sure that they're, put in across all the properties to ensure brand standards. Because
Hmm.
if you're a brand, you want to make sure your brand standards are consistent, right? So
Yeah.
understanding what stands out to guests from an experience is kind of going to be what defines you as a brand. And once again, it doesn't matter whether you're a, budget group or whether you're a 5-star group, that experience is there and it's online. And we've got a vision of we're going to Jamaica and we're going to stay at this property and it's going to be really awesome. So we have expectations, whether it's backpacking or whether it's serviced apartments or
Yeah.
whether it is, a 5-star hotel. So, I think that's one of the exciting things, the capability of giving you AI in the right places to do that heavy lifting, but
Yeah.
not take over the decisions that you make.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, I've looked at sort of the AI subject from a number of different perspectives, not actually from the guest review side of things, but again, the reasons are all the same. Is it's about using it as a tool, not as a solution. And it's that constant sort of message of how, well, what's the problem I'm actually trying to solve, rather than I have a problem, I'm just going to chuck AI at it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that conversation continues to happen. And I think so, coming at this again, maybe slightly differently, then how do you think the industry needs to adapt in this sort of ever-changing landscape? So from an opportunity perspective, or to try and get more opportunity from that guest review side.
So, I mean, I just come from WTM Cape Town,
Yeah.
which was last week. And we're seeing that AI trend and conversation going through, whether it be ITB or whether it be London trade shows.
Mm,
Everybody's talking about, AI and fast, shiny tools and things like that. I
yeah.
think when you look at what you want, when you map out your guest journey and where tools fit in, involve your
Mm,
other departments as well. We quite often will have conversations that, they haven't spoken to marketing or they haven't spoken to revenue. And there's so many different aspects in the guest experience, insights that you can get from guest review that cross over into different departments.
sure.
So understanding how it would impact each department is really important. When you talk to salespeople, ask questions,
Yeah.
give your opinion, tell them what your problem is. We cannot help you if we don't understand it.
Yeah.
So being vocal about things that you want to improve is not a weakness. It's
Hmm.
it's an added advantage because then we can take you through how we can fix that problem. So I think often hoteliers sit back and they just want to see a system and then they go, oh, it doesn't do that. Well, you
No.
never asked it to do that. It definitely does that. But so be open about what you want to do, where you want to achieve, and bring in your team, so
Yes.
that you've got the right thing. I think it's an exciting space. Hoteliers, notoriously have not liked changing technology. I
Yeah.
think PMS is still one they don't like to change because it's always the heart of everything you
Hmm.
do. But
Yeah.
like your guest experience tools are really quick. They're not long-winded. They just slot into that guest journey. So
Mm,
it's just about being honest about what you want, what your problem area is, and how, that system can fix it. And don't necessarily rely on AI to do everything for you. Like
yes.
be aware of where you want to put it and why you want to put it there. Remember, it's humans that create that experience. So AI
Mm,
should put humans back in front of guests
yeah.
and allow, some of the back office strain to be taken off your team. So always remember it's human. We're hospitality, right? It's always about that smile and that conversation and the
Could
guest
not agree more.
experience.
Yeah, could not agree more. And again, it's about that sort of, if you like, donkey work that it can pick up, that sort of, day-to-day stuff that can allow the people to get back to what they really love doing, but also what guests really appreciate. That's the whole point. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
oh
spreadsheets,
yeah, go on.
right?
Yeah. Well, sorry,
Sorry,
go
so
on.
spreadsheets,
Yeah.
spreadsheets. People talk to me about spreadsheets. They do this on a spreadsheet and they do that on a spreadsheet. And I just think to these people, like, it's 2026.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to figure out your trend from a spreadsheet? Like, actually, AI can do that for you. So it will
Yeah.
give you this is the trend, this is the problem, this is the good thing about your guest experience. So then you've got immediate action data, right? You're not sitting there for 3 hours trying to figure out what to tell the MD about why you got five low scoring TripAdvisor reviews last week because it's already done for you. So
Yeah.
it does that reporting side and then lets you action those insights, which I think is mind-blowing in today's world.
Yeah. And again, this is, if we look, let's say we look at the in another 18 months, how far things would have developed, how far things would have gone from here. Now we've got the tech solutions that we've got. Now we've got the AI that is becoming again more and more advanced. And the more information that becomes out there, whether that be guest reviews or any other data for that matter, that's what the AI is going to be picking up. That's what ChatGPT is going to be picking up. That's what all these different softwares are going to pick up. It's all about the data that's available to them and how good of data that is. Because again, that's the thing that keeps on coming up is the quality of the data is paramount to be able to make the decisions that you need to make as a business. So moving on to GuestRevu then. So sort of we've gone through who you guys are. We've gone through why you guys are different. We've gone through your opinion and insight into certain areas of the industry. Can you give us a bit of an insight into what GuestRevu's got going on, what what the future holds over the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, so it's really an exciting time to be in technology. You
Yeah,
know, the AI capacity and what opportunity that leads to is really
sure.
exciting. So we're going to see a lot more growth within AI and putting it in the right places. I
Hmm.
think, there's a lot of new things coming. Some things I can't tell you, which are really exciting, but I will keep you updated with what is going on behind the scenes on GuestRevu because there's some really cool stuff happening right now with, where AI is going, reporting, customization, and all of those sorts of things. So it's a really exciting space that's going to open up the insights even quicker, even faster, and even better for those hoteliers. And I think, we always listen to our clients.
Hmm.
If they come to us and they're like, "Oh, this will be really cool," that starts that conversation. How can we
Yeah,
use that? How can we put that in an application to actually benefit not only this property? Because if this property is having that problem or this group's having that problem, multiple properties are. So, that's why that relationship and being partnered with GuestRevu is so paramount because that's what keeps us delivering more exciting tools.
yeah.
Like we've just released AI group reporting. We've got another group report coming out very soon, which is currently in our stage environment. I'm very excited about. So
Cool.
there's lots of development happening. I think, if products aren't developing today with the use of AI and moving that technology along,
Mm.
then, that's kind of a concern.
Yes.
So make sure that, the technology that you look at is always developing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we'd love to get you back on, maybe in the not too distant future, once things do get announced. We'd love to hear more about them. We'd love to update everybody on the channel about what GuestRevu's got going on. So, Amy, but for now, I want to just say a massive thank you to you for joining me today. As I say, I know I've been a bit of a nightmare trying to get this all booked in, but I'm so happy we've been able to do it. And I would love to get you back on the show, talk more about what's coming out, what's going to be going on, and having a catch up in the not too distant future if you're up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this has been a pleasure. Like Danica chats about you guys. Paula
Oh, bless
obviously
her.
loves you. So like you've got a firm follow on LinkedIn with me. So I would love to come back. And thank you for the conversation. Like it's been fun. And you
No,
stuck with me
good.
for like now too.
No, 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 I've loved it. I've loved it. And again, I think this subject in terms of the guest experience, but also guest review side of things is at the top of people's lists. And I think it's just such an interesting one, which is why I said at the start of the show that anyone that is tuning into this week's episode, I do think they're going to get a lot of value from it. What I was going to do, Amy, was I was just going to pop down your details and sort of guest reviews, sort of website and stuff like that, just so people can take a look at it. If they want to get in touch, I'm sure they'll obviously click on your LinkedIn and sort of get to know you a bit more and see what guest review can do for them as a client. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for tuning into this week's episode yet again. As you know, we're bringing you content every single week. And to do that, we need a fantastic community around us. So I want to say a massive thank you. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button, connect with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And as I say, if you want to get in touch with Amy or the team at GuestRevu and find out how they might be able to help you, I'll leave all the details down below. So thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.